Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Lubbock Sports Medicine. What a great team of doctors this is. I'm telling you, from top to bottom, these are the best in the business. People from all over this part of the country come to Lubbock, Texas, to go to Lubbock Sports Medicine and let these doctors help them. And they will do that. And I just get, of course, I get tons of reports being around the sports world, and they help everybody, not just athletes. But if you're aching and you got orthopedic problems, this is the team of doctors to know. Go to LubbockSportsMed.com and check them out. You can see a write-up on each of the doctors, and they will do you a great job. I promise you that. And first class, and you'll love working with them. That's the thing. And I've got all their names here: Kevin Crawford, David Shepard, Stephen Flores, Jordan Simpson, Joel Campbell, and Carl Pankratz. Those are the doctors at Lubbock Sports Medicine. And then Mighty Wash, and locations all over the city of Lubbock, and they're in Eastern. I got the whole list of all of their locations, and right now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in Lubbock. Odessa has a bunch, and Midland has a bunch, and they just got a new one on Briarwood Street. Andrews with one, Sweetwater, Big Spring, Carlsbad has 2. The second one's opening July 1st, and Hobbs, your old stomping grounds, has 4.
Yep.
Mighty Washes, and Lovington has 1. That's all from right here in Lubbock, Texas, and they do a great job, and they need to be your car wash company. This is the one the Texas Tech coaches use. All right, we already have him on the phone? All right, well, it's an honor to have Pat Kelley on the show with us today, former Lubbock High outstanding football player. Do you remember how good you were, Pat?
No, it's been that long ago that I do not remember. I have a vague recollection that I put on my shoulder pad.
I remember suiting up one day. Well, Pat, we're so honored that you're with us, and we're so honored that you're going to the Lubbock ISD Athletic Hall of Honor on July the 27th. And I'm telling you, you were one of the top players. In fact, the Dallas Morning News, he was one of the top 20 players in Texas. Do you remember that, Pat? That's quite an honor.
Yeah, that was before they had the Fab 55.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so Dallas Morning News had the top 20, I guess. And so somehow I was in the same group with Joe Barnes and Jimmy Carmichael.
That's a good group.
I was honored to do that. They say on recruiting, it's not about the X's and O's. It's all about the Jimmys and Joes.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it is. The difference in those two guys and you, although you were all in the top 20, you were a quarterback and a safety, but they came to Texas Tech like Loyal Red Raiders. You went to Texas. What happened?
I got to say, the true story is that Lubbock High School back then, my sophomore year, we won 1 game. My junior year, we won 1 game. My senior year, we had a great season and won 3 games. 3 games by a total of 4 points. 1 point, 1 point, and 2 points. And so, my senior year, Texas had just won the national championship 2 years in a row. And so I was thinking, I don't know if I'll ever play at Texas, but I'm tired of losing. So I'm going to go to University of Texas. And so that was my decision to come south to Austin.
Well, it turned out to be a good one for you. He was an honorable mention, sun-kissed All-American team out of high school, all-district quarterback and safety at Lubbock High, player of the year in the city in District 4-4A, all-district, all-zone quarterback and safety, Lubbock High MVP, Texas High School All-Star Game. In the Astrodome, do you remember that? I bet you remember that, going to the Astrodome. Astrodome was a really big deal back then, wasn't it, Pat?
Yeah, it was the 8th wonder of the world, I guess, back then. And it was the largest indoor facility. So it was a big deal to play in the Astrodome.
Yeah.
Pat, who were your coaches when you were at Lubbock High?
My coach was Tommy Stone.
Oh, yeah.
And he came from Abilene Cooper. They had just won the state championship with
Mildred?
Jack Mildren.
Yeah, Jack Mildren.
Jack Mildren.
Yeah.
And so he was a good coach.
Just a poor decision maker, evidently. He came to Lubbock High.
Yeah. Well, you got to say that my recollection is back then, Ashby was a head coach at a very young age.
Yeah.
But, Tommy Stone, all these guys, hold on a second.
There's lots of stories about Tommy.
Yeah, I remember him being an old guy, but he had to be like 30 years old. And, he was doing cartwheels and doing calisthenics and so forth, and so he was a young guy. He coached at Lubbock High School for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then he was in the Army Reserve, and he went back to the Army and ended up being a general in the
Reserve?
U.S. Army.
Is that right?
And ended up in Temple, Texas, home of Fort Hood. And so he was, he gave his commitment to our country. So both in, I don't know if he was because he was a football coach or because he was U.S. Army, but he was a hard taskmaster, and I was lucky to be coached by him. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, it's there's lots of stories. Tommy Stone, even though he wasn't here long, there's a lot of people talk about his days at Lubbock High.
Yep.
And he was really a good man, good coach,
yep.
And the taskmaster part, I remember hearing those stories. But you played in the Texas Oil Bowl All-Star team too, and that was played in Wichita Falls. Who won? Well, that's against Oklahoma. Who won that game? Do you remember?
Texas did.
Attaboy.
Yeah,
That's good. He was on the Lubbock High All-Decade team for the 1960s. Pat Kelley was, and all West Texas academic football team. So you're a smart guy too, aren't you, Pat? Made good grades.
I studied hard. And I got to say is that my senior year, I think Texas Tech just started the National Football Foundation College Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And so we had a little luncheon, I think at the Donnie Anderson Red Raider Inn, and it was Jimmy Carmichael, Joe Barnes, and Bobby Lewis.
Yeah.
Monterey.
Bobby Lewis.
My good friend, who I played baseball with at Southern Pony League. And, he was baseball and football. He's really good at Monterey, and then he went on to play at Texas Tech in baseball. So
yeah,
he was quite an athlete. And anyway, there was the four of us that were honored there. And so it was, I remember that. And matter of fact, Bill Dean, I think, was one of the originators of that.
Yeah.
So, and I thought he was an old guy back then.
Well, he's still around. He's still doing good,
yeah.
As you know. But, you get that Texas Tech chapter of the National Football Foundation. And now I hear you head up the Austin chapter. Is that right?
Yes, I'm the president. I've been president for a number of years, and we instituted that with Rooster Andrews and Noble Doss and some of the wonderful UT alumni. And then, we give scholarship money to about 45 different high schools, and I think we've given out about $600,000 over the
That's great.
25
awesome.
years.
We do that here too. And Mark Ball came back and
Yeah.
really got it going again,
Yeah.
and it's booming
Yeah.
here in Lubbock too.
Pat, talk about your high school rivalries. Was the Monterey Lubbock High, the Silver Spur game? Was it a big rivalry when you were here?
Oh, absolutely. It really wasn't. And I've got to say, when I was younger, in junior high school, Carroll Thompson Junior High School, Lubbock High School upset Monterey with Don Burrell
Yeah.
and Busty Underwood.
Oh, Busty
And,
Underwood. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was a big upset. And then we never won the Spurs while I was there. Yeah, I got one other war story is that my senior year, Lubbock High took the lead and was, I think we were tied with Monterey 14-14, and we went the length of the field, and we were on like the 4-yard line, and I was going in to score, and I cut, and linebacker from Monterey knocked the ball out of my hand and caught it in the air and went like 96 yards for a touchdown. Yeah. And so Monterey took the lead 21-14, and and actually I think the final score was like 28-14. If we had scored there on the 4-yard line, I guess the final score would have been 21-21 if you go back and look at the stats. But so Monterey was they grabbed victory from the jaws of defeat.
Well, that's that good deal of the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. You had that agony. I can just imagine you, Pat, and when the ball came out and you saw him catch it in the air, did you turn? You looked up the field and saw him running the other way. That was agonizing.
I was on my back. I really was on my back. And I was from the turf and just saw the ball in the air, and it was slow motion. And I can't remember. It was a good player. I can't remember his name. Anyway, it was slow motion. He caught the ball in the air, and no one touched him for 96 yards. I think he was out of breath by the time he scored.
How bad?
So yes.
Well, we've got several former Lubbock ISD athletes. Brian Jones is going in for Dunbar. You know where he went to school. He went to the University of Texas. Madison Cox for swimming. You know where she went to college? University of Texas. So there was a time, though, back in your era, Pat. We're visiting with Pat Kelley. He's a former Lubbock High great in football and went on to the University of Texas and had a great career there. But Mark Griffin, another one that's going in Monterey baseball. You remember where he went to college? University of Texas. These are guys know. These are guys from your era. And
I called Mark a couple weeks ago to congratulate him, and he's a great story.
Oh yeah.
He says that he was recruited by Cliff Gustafson with Donnie Moore. And he said, and Monterey won the state championship.
Yeah.
And so Gustafson, he didn't recruit off campus. He said he always invited players. He invited Donnie and Mark to come to Austin. And he said it was pretty obvious. He invited Mark to come to Austin because they wanted Donnie Moore.
Yeah. Well, it turned out it was good they got Mark. He got the hit that won the national championship.
Yeah, and so 75, and one of his great stories was that he was such a good contact hitter. Texas was in the regionals, and I think then it was like a one-game playoff in the regionals to get to the Omaha. And so Texas was losing. And late in the game, like the 8th inning, and so whoever was at bat had like a one ball, 2 strike count, 1 and 2 count.
Yeah.
And so Gus on third base called timeout and looked to the dugout and pointed at Mark Griffin.
We're making a sub right now.
Yeah, exactly. With a 2 strike count and not warming up or anything. And so Mark got up and took a couple of practice swings and went to the plate. And I think there was a runner on base, and Mark got a solid contact double, knocked in the winning run.
Isn't that something?
So he was the star of the game. So he did the same thing in Omaha.
Yeah.
Came off the bench and hit a RBI.
The game-winning hit in the national championship game. And he won state. He got the game-winning hit in the state championship for Monterey.
Yeah, absolutely. So he was the real deal.
Yeah, he was something else. But enough about him. We'll talk to him later. All these guys are going in. They're just amazing athletes and coaches, and that we've had at Lubbock ISD through the years. And this is a great class that you're going in, the 2024 class. And You know, that's what really gets you is when you look at the list and you go, oh my gosh, look at this. Hector Lamone, who was on last week, he was All-State in football and baseball at Estacado.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Pat, when you were in
Ashby, I'll tell you one other Monterey story real quick. Is that
All right.
I remember? See, that was '74 when Monterey won with Bobby Magel.
Yeah.
And I had to be 85 or something. Monterey came. It might have been Magel's last state championship. And
No, he won in 81. He won in 81, and he won in 96.
Gosh, could it be probably 81. But I went to the game with Mike Davis, who played basketball at Monterey, and Jeff Jobe, who was here in Austin by then, who played football at the Corsicana, but at Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of rain delays, and so we sat through the rain delays, and after midnight, and they had turf in the field. So anyway, the game started at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah, that was 81. Yeah. That was in 81.
81, okay.
And Bill Bratcher was the coach of Pearland. He's a Monterey player.
Oh, that's right. Yes. And so, but it was kind of eerie that we were 2:00 in the morning. The only people there were parents and Mike Davis and Jeff Jobe.
Hey.
I remember Tommy Ojibwe was a parent, and his son was in Monterey.
How about that?
And Ojibwe was a great catcher, I guess, at Monterey.
Yeah, he was.
So, anyway, the game finished up like at 4 in the morning. We were there to watch.
It was a mess.
Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
H.G. Thrash Clothier Company, one of my favorite stores of all time. And down at 2010 Broadway, that was where I've always gone. I just love the way that the brands that they carry. They do such a great job of buying. Peter Millar is one of their big, Johnny O. They've got, if you're looking for golf wear, just that you can go there. And they've got all the way from swimwear all the way up to tuxedos. They can help you, and plus all the accessories again. As they've got cufflinks and sunglasses, and it's just a first-class store. Howard and Jeremy. Howard Thrash started this back in 1989, not 1899. It's 1989, and he's just done a fantastic job. Of course, Jeremy Hamilton helping him. Now they've got another store out of Kingsgate, the brand-new store. It's where the old Anderson Jewelers used to be, and it is a dynamic-looking store.
If you get a chance, just go look at their display.
Oh,
they've got it. It's nice. It's a really nice store.
First class, I'll tell you. All righty. Well, we're going to, I think we're going to get him. Mark Fewin's going to be on the show here with us. All right. So Max Signal is a lot better now on his TV. He adjusts his antenna. So we blame him, Brennan.
Well, we did that. We did that for him.
Yeah. Attaboy, Mac. And we have 4 UT inductees in this year's class.
Yep.
Mark Fewin, are you there, buddy?
Yes, sir.
Boy, it's good to have you on the show.
David.
I wasn't here the day you were on. It's been a while, a couple of months, I think, that Gary had you on, and I don't know where I was, but I'm normally here. But it's good to have you on because I've had questions this week from people. Craig Wells is here too, Mark. He's sitting in for Ashby today.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, he's sitting in for Gary, who's in San Antonio, I think, having a little family vacation. But
that sounds like an upgrade.
I know it does, doesn't it? It does. No, it's anyway. I know that Gary had you on, and I think you were on Chuck Hines' show earlier this week. And but
weeks ago, yes, sir.
You're the guy that knows.
Yep.
And I met yesterday with Robert Giovanetti and Andrea Tyree, and talking about our show and some other things, and they both they brought me up to date on a lot of stuff. But I've had guys come up with questions like, are they still going to run out through the middle? And they still got those vomitories, those ramps on the side. And I heard something interesting yesterday, Mark. Maybe you can verify this. They said that if we win, when the game is over, they're going to go back through the middle. But if we lose, they're going to go up the ramps. Is that true?
I've not heard that, but I'm leaving all those logistics to Texas Tech football for them to work out. But they've got options. Let's put it that way. They got multiple options.
Yeah, Mark. Let's start a little bit with the visitors tunnel, and you'll see up on the concourse a little building, not a little, but a building being built. Explain how the new visitors tunnel and dressing room works.
Okay, Craig. So at the northeast side of the stadium, we now have a 5,500 square foot visitor locker room. Logistically, what's going to happen is that the visiting team buses and trailers are going to pull in to adjacent to that north visitor locker room, and they'll get out and go into the locker room, and at the end of the game, they'll come out of the locker room, and we've gotten a permit from TxDOT for a curb cut on Marcia Sharp frontage road there, and they'll actually just go right out on that frontage road and cross University and go out to the airport and be gone. So
that's so much better.
We'll eliminate that whole conflict of, and this was a big deal as it relates to one of our aspirational goals was at the where the Womble Football Center is, 6th Street, making that all about Texas Tech football and not having a West Virginia equipment trailer there parked in front of the that's not a good look.
That's an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And so when the players get dressed for pregame, they're going to come out of that visitor locker room and then go through a tunnel about 450 feet long and enter the stadium at the northeast corner of the stadium, and they'll exit from there. So the Texas Tech football team will enter the field and exit the field from the south end zone, and the visiting team will enter and exit the field from the northeast corner. So I was in it last week. It is a engineering feat. The going band from Raiderland will be located in the section right adjacent to that tunnel.
Oh, good.
Hopefully that visiting team will have a hard time hearing the first part of the first quarter and the third quarter.
Well, Mark, did you make the ramp when they come out and warm up and they go back in their locker room? Did you make that ramp at a pretty good steep so they're having to huff and puff by the time they get there?
Well, exactly. Now, it is at a grade that is legal as it relates to the American Disabilities Act, but we tried to make it as long as possible. So
well, it's so funny. Nowadays
that's home field advantage.
Nowadays, Mark, we could do with hydraulics. We could make it uphill both ways, going onto the field.
Exactly.
That'd be something. I heard it's really nice. I heard that there's another thing I heard. I'd heard they were going to be in a locker room again. I mean, a trailer again. But Jim and Eddie was telling me that this is nice. It's really a nice facility. It'll be one of the nicest ones around.
And compared to what they had previously, David, you had to have the post game standing up against a wall on the outside because there wasn't enough room on the inside.
Well, we've got the visiting locker room. First 3 or 4 games, we're going to have lockers in there, and we're not. The final lockers are not going to be there, so we're going to have a bench and a hook for a number of players, but we don't want to make them too comfortable.
Oh shoot!
And so, but the other key thing is the game day locker for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. The lockers were delivered 2 weeks ago and installed, so there's a game day locker room underneath the south end zone where the team will get dressed and prepare for the game, and then halftime, which is in the south end zone, and that's going to be a nice game day locker room for the Red Raiders.
And I asked Giovanetti yesterday about it. He goes, "You can't believe how nice it is." And I thought what we had before that y'all tore down was really nice.
Yep.
This is just it's outstanding. We're going to have one of the finest facilities in the country.
Mark, I know a lot of people have seen the skywalk going across.
Yeah.
And what purposes will all the coaches and players, what's it designed to achieve as far as what they want to accomplish having a skywalk?
Well, that's a key feature, and it really creates connectivity between the south end zone and the second level, which is where all the coaching staff's offices are going to be, and also position meeting rooms will be in the south end zone. The connectivity allows the players to use the Sky Bridge to come from the Womble and the large team meeting rooms, the weight training, the practice locker room, the hydrotherapy, and all that is going to be located at the Womble, and come across the Sky Bridge and enter, for their position meetings and to interact with the coaching staff. And Coach McGuire's office is going to be right there at the knuckle. He wanted his office was positioned to where everybody coming across that Sky Bridge has to pass by his office.
He has to hug them. He's going to hug them.
And they get hugging, and they can get a honey bun while they're walking by his office. And you can pull them in there and get that. So that was key for him as it relates to, and that's the way he really approaches this, is relationships and being able to interact with the players and coaches, as compared to being down at the end of the hall, and removed. He wanted to be right in the thick of things. So that's the way the program works for that level where the Sky Bridge is. And then also it creates a really cool element for the Texas Tech fans on 6th Street. Going east and west, and that also we've checked that out. The height of that Sky Bridge is at a height that allows for fire trucks to pass underneath it in the case of an emergency. And so we've worked all through that with Texas Tech as well as the City of Lubbock.
Well, I just saw that yesterday for the first time. I hadn't paid attention, but I look over there every time I drive by because I'm just amazed at what's going on. Mac Owen texted in and said, we did talk about it briefly, they are keeping the ramps on both sides. Those will still be still there and still available for use for whatever, huh?
They are, and that's a key element that we maintained primarily for access to the field, but as it relates to emergency vehicles.
Yeah.
And also the band will be utilizing those ramps to get to the field prior to the game.
Mark, the south end zone building speaks for itself. You guys have just done a tremendous job in what it's going to add. And then this Womble Center, the fact that you raised it and completely started over, and it's going to be fabulous. But there's a lot of little bitty details, and I'm going to tell you one that caught my eye the other day as I drove by. Used to, on the practice fields, we had chain link fence up there with some sign. You guys are putting up a real nice brick post fence that's going to go around. It's going to make that place look really, really nice. And that's one of those little bitty cosmetic things, but I think it's really going to make that whole complex look sharp.
Oh, I agree 100%. And obviously that wrought iron fence is going to allow for screening from a security standpoint, as well as some advertising opportunities. It creates revenue stream for Texas Tech football. So I think it's going to be a nice little small detail that's going to really tie into the entire project.
I'm looking here at this. There's going to be 20 club suites available in this new south end zone. 18 of those are normal suites. I don't know what that means, but 2 being founder suites. I'm guessing they're bigger and nicer. Then it's gonna really be a cool place to watch the game from.
Yep,
it really is. And David and Craig, I've walked, spent a fair amount of time walking this project, and I've also had the opportunity to stop and pause and look at the sight lines from the south end zone, the low seating, the party decks, the premium level. It's going to be unprecedented views, and I've sat there in a few of those suites on that third level and envisioned a goal line stand by the Red Raiders to win the game, and you're on top of it.
Yeah,
you were literally. It's going to be very cool.
Mark, we've heard about construction delays because of materials and things like that. Have you guys experienced that? And I guess I'm going to give you the chance to say we're on schedule to do what you wanted to have done by the ACU game or Abilene Christian game on August 31st?
Well, great question, and believe me, I get that question a lot, especially in the last couple of months.
Yeah, I know it.
So, Craig, I mean, as it relates to, we've managed around all the supply chain issues. We have, on average, at this point in time, 450 workers on site on a daily basis, working 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. I went on the camera this morning and backed it up to about 5:30 this morning, and there was people already on the site on a Saturday.
5:30.
So a lot of effort. And as of May 1st, and I wasn't able to get this, there's been 500,000 man-hours logged through May 1st on this project. So we're basically taking 24, 26 months and executing and delivering this project in 18 months. But to get to your main question there, yes, as it relates to Abilene Christian, when they roll into town, South End Zone, be ready.
And that's
and I
good
feel
news.
Good about it.
That's good
now,
news.
there might be a few signs there that says wet paint. So the Red Raider fans need to watch for those.
Don't sit here.
Yeah. Mark, that's just amazing.
Since the Oklahoma game last year.
I mean, that's just amazing.
It's phenomenal. I would have not thought it could be done with what you've done. You could do a bunch of stuff, but not what we've done. It is absolutely.
Well, and there's just, David, we're little things, and I told the team this past week, I said, let's just line them up. Let's knock them down one at a time, and stay focused. It's kind of like bird hunting.
Yeah.
Got a couple of doves coming across the field from you. If you try to shoot both of them, you're going to miss both of them. So let's shoot one and then swing on the second one, and let's just keep on going.
And
Mark,
so we 60 days after the season, there's nothing but dirt down there, and to be where you are today, that's amazing. You've got to feel very proud of you and your team and what you guys have been able to accomplish.
Well, I am very proud, and everybody has been working really, really hard, and it's just a little detail. I mean, we this past week, a couple of those details we solved, which was we got to figure out flagpoles.
Oh,
we got to have 2 flagpoles, and so we figured that out, and then field goal netting for the south end zone.
Yeah.
About a month ago, and we're going, okay, let's solve this one. So we got that solved. And so there's literally, and we've got operable glass that is on at every suite at the premium level, which will be able to open up and to, those suites to the outside. And, I think it's a month ago, guys, somebody said, well, I said, "Where's the operable glass?" Well, it's coming from Germany, but we're waiting for this mechanism that makes them work. And I said, "Well, where's that manufactured?" They said Istanbul, and I said, "I'm supposed to feel good about that?" And so, I mean, so we made the decision. Let's take this piece of equipment and put it on a plane instead of a boat.
I'm assuming that's not. I'm assuming that's not Istanbul, Texas.
No, it's not.
Yeah, like Paris, Texas.
Sports talk conversations with a good laugh mixed in. This is the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I was talking about the Rawls course, and if you're going to have a tournament, and there's lots of places you can have tournaments in Lubbock, but we always enjoyed so much when we went to the Rawls course, because I tell Jay and the crew out there, and this is what we're doing. And, I mean, that's pretty much all you got to do. Then you show up, because they take care of it out at the Rawls course. They do a tremendous job. J&W Services, Lenco Distributors in Midland, Texas, and that's Brent Beck and Scott Blakely, Cade Walton. What a team they've got down there. They're Red Raiders, but they're helping everybody in the oil and gas business. It has to do with the wellhead. You need to know them. But I'm going to tell you something. They have so many services through their company that they offer that they can help you in just about everything at J&W Services and Lenco Distributors. So be sure and touch base with them, get them on your team, because you'll be glad that you did, because they will take care of you. Also, Mighty Wash, don't forget, they're the Texas Tech Car Wash, locally owned right here in Lubbock, Texas. And I didn't know this, but they employ over 400 people at Mighty Wash. They do it the right way. There's Texas Tech. In fact, I saw the coach's car wash, the card that they get, because Wes Kittley was sitting right here, and he said, "Show me his car wash card." Coach, thank you for taking the time to be on the show today. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, we're always good to be with you.
Well, and I watched Caleb Dean last night, Coach, and I will tell you what a stud. My gosh, he just blew him away.
Yeah, he's pretty special. I've been to a lot of track meets and a lot of championships, but that's probably the best race that I've ever seen, especially 400 hurdles live. I've seen a couple of faster times with the pros on TV, but never live. So, yeah, just so happy for him. I think you probably heard me say it before, but he was, won a national championship indoors in the 60 hurdles, and then he ran the 60 and got sixth, and then he ran the mile relay, and I call him my Swiss Army knife. But,
Wes, that's a number warrior. 2 time all time by a collegian, the second best ever in the world by a collegian in the 400-meter hurdles.
It's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And then, he's run a 48.0 and a 48.0 and then this 47.2, and no human's ever done that. Even Rob Benjamin is the kid that's got the faster time than him, who's the number 1 kid in the United States and in the world. But and Caleb's number 4 in the world, by the way, right now. So, yeah, it's impressive when you run faster than Rob Benjamin, who has got the NCAA record.
Something that I thought was kind of interesting. I was watching Wednesday night, I guess, and he ran his heat in the prelims like it was the finals. I mean, he took out and he made no doubt. He said, "I'm putting a mark on who they've got to beat." And I mean, it was a beautiful race.
No, he ran awesome. You're exactly right. And I thought he was running too hard, and it's like, hey, save that one for the final.
Yeah.
But he knew what he was doing. I mean, he nearly put another second on that thing, off of it. So,
Coach, I don't know. You'll know this, but I don't know for sure. But I'm guessing that there's not a harder race in track and field than the 400 hurdles. That's got to be. You're tired anyway. It's a long way, and then you got to jump over stuff the whole time.
As hard as the 400 meter is.
Yeah.
Try running over some hurdles.
It's got to be the hardest race.
Well, it's a very tough one. You've got 10 obstacles in your way in that 400, so it always makes it interesting. I've never seen his stride pattern be, any better, and that was real important. I thought he was going to go out too hard. I was fearful of that because he's a competitor, man. I mean, but he presses a little bit sometimes, and it was just so fun to see him do that. And people don't have a clue. Right after indoors, right before Texas relays, he tore his abductor muscle. We had to do PRP and he's sitting out on the shelf for 8 weeks. And we don't run him until the Big 12.
Yeah. Yep.
And so he's only had Big 12 regionals in here the whole outdoor year. But one thing I've learned, even at this old age of mine, is that he's really fresh, and so it's you can tell he's really fresh and looks good. So let me tell you, don't count him out of that Olympic trials because he's gonna make them run.
Oscar Edlund also ran in that race, and he got what did he get, 5th?
He got 5th. Yes, he was in lane 9, and he was blind the whole time. And I think his first time to be in there like that, I was really proud of him. And that was a fast race. The kid from Alabama, who's a South Plains kid, he was second to Caleb and Chris Robinson. And then it was just a great field. The Baylor kid, I mean, the Big 12 was well represented.
You bet.
And top 8 are All-Americans, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yep. Let's talk a little bit about your 4x1. And you did not make the exchange on the second handoff, but in fairness to everybody, Wes, Terrence Jones has been on the shelf for, nearly all of outdoor season. They haven't had that exchange but maybe once or twice. And, they look pretty good in the prelims. And if they, you feel like they've got a little bit of juice left. But in fairness to them, that's a precision race. And, a handoff like that can make all the difference in the world.
Oh, the handoffs are the whole difference, and we had decided because it's such a good group, here to run what we call run hot. So if you put your best people up front, then you have an opportunity for people. When you're blowing by them, well, then they want to go early, and so you mess up their handoffs. And so we moved Terrence from 4 to number 2, but he hadn't run all year. He didn't even run at the Big 12 on the 4x1. So in the prelims was the first handoff he's taken all year, and it was fine. But if you really put 2 tapes together, he was really running well. His first few steps were he hit the mark perfectly. Sean just couldn't catch him because it was the Terrence of old that kind of left there.
Yeah.
We were about 7-8 inches from reaching him, but we were going to win it. We were running to win. We were going to stretch our zones, and we did, and it didn't work, but we weren't going to sit there and just be safe.
Yeah, Coach, let me ask you. You're such a great prognosticator. I mean, you're seeing what's happening, and I know that for you and how successful you've been and our program has been, it's got to be disappointing, especially when you see that the top team only scored 41 points. Coach, that's a pretty low number.
It was the year to win it. It really was, and of course, we did indoors, and we just did not stay healthy enough to have continuity the whole year, and everyone's so. This is the most even year I can remember in a long time with Florida and Auburn and Arkansas and us and Alabama, and it's just who really stayed healthy. And when you lose, we lost Caleb nearly the whole year, but he got back, and then we lost Terrence. Well, those were 3 national champions, 3 times, 60 in the 200 and the 60 hurdles, and you just can't. You got to have 2 or 3 of those big guns to.
For you not to have points coming out of the 100 and the 200, that made a huge difference. And injuries are the reason that didn't happen. I mean, they just didn't. They couldn't do it. I mean, they were just injured all year.
Boy, you see, if you put 2 10s there with Terrence, where the score is, and that doesn't mean they got 40 because you're knocking them down that happens.
That's right.
Well, if you do that,
be about 35 or 34. If he had beaten those guys. So
you're exactly right, Coach. We had 19. For people that don't know, we finished 13th in scoring 19 points. But Coach just said that's 20 points more. That's 39. And then let's say that our 4x1 gets in. That's another.
And Florida's not going to get some points.
Yeah, that's what he just said. Yeah, they're going to. That's
no, you're knocking them down because they were in the 100 and they were in the 200, so you're knocking them down.
Oh my gosh, Coach, it's that close. It really is that close.
Yeah, it's so fine line when you get here. Everybody's so good, and it's just you can look really good. You can get humbled pretty quick because if you just make 1 or 2 mistakes, or you're just not healthy at the right time, well, it's really compounded. But
you've got a chance.
Nobody's feeling sorry for us. We've had a great year. I'm really proud of them kids. And you're fixing to see Terrence, sign a contract, and you're fixing to see Caleb Dean get a real big contract. And so, wow, these
good
2
for
kids
them.
You're also fixing to see us in the women's. You're going to see us in the women's make a difference too.
Yeah, let me tell you, I'm excited for today.
You
I
should
really
be.
am. We've got a chance to, our 4x1, we want to start that off. Now, we do start the high jump first, which we have 2 in there. We have Timmy Toe and we have Claire that'll start off the high jump. And then we have 3 triple jumpers, Ruda, Ann, and Grace. And then we do get to run the 4x1 right off. And then, we've got the 100 meters with Rose, and then we've got the 5,000 meters with Juliet right at the end of the meet, and then we've got the discus. So we have a lot of opportunities today.
Okay, so, you've put your pencil to it. What do you?
Yeah, I'm wanting us to score 30 points. If we can score 30 points, well then we're going to be, top 5, 6, 17. So. Be
That's
phenomenal
awesome.
for our women
That's
to make
awesome.
that jump.
That is
awesome.
awesome.
We had Sally Kipiego. We were 9th in the country, no, maybe we were 5th or 6th. But I think this team has got that potential to be about the same.
That's great.
I've really seen, Coach, y'all done a great job in all areas, but the women's program has really taken some strides, and I compliment you because you got. Coaching this sport, it's a lot. I mean, all these different, basketball, dribble, pass, shoot. You got so many different techniques that you have to work on. It takes a lot, and I know you got some really good coaches.
lot of moving parts in track and field with 21 events. But I'm got a great staff, and I'm so proud of them. And we're gonna stay at it and keep working this thing. And I think, like you said, I think our women are really getting better every year, and this has been really a proud point for me because we've really been working hard to get our women better. And so I'm anxious for today. Let's get up there and at least be top 10 and have a chance of being top 5.
Coach Kittley, I just watching it on TV Wednesday and last night, and I've got to believe that it's even better in person. But that facility that Oregon has, it just looks like an outstanding track facility.
Well, it is. It's $250 million. I mean, that's more than some football stadiums.
Yeah,
it is.
The sad thing is, and I don't want to be negative, but there really isn't a very big crowd here.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
noticed that. I noticed that up in the stands.
Too expensive to come here when you've got $600 a night for a motel, and the flight to get up here, and it's just really tough. But it is definitely the best facility. It's just so sad that it's so expensive for people. I really feel like that's why people aren't coming. I mean, you're talking $2,000 or $3,000 for a mom and dad to come here for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Wes, is the track itself any different than what you've run on during the year?
No, it is exactly our Bynum outdoor track, and our Bynum is our indoor surface. It's the same surface that we practice on every day. So the best surface in the world. So, I think it's the best. Mondo, some people have it, but it's hard as a rock, and Bynum is just the best.
And the weather
looked awesome.
It looks good.
It's been terrible Monday and Tuesday before we started, and then it's been really good, and I think it's supposed to be good today. It got really beautiful right before that 400 hurdles, and so I was very thankful that he didn't have any big wind he had to face or anything. And you don't run those 47.2 without having some good conditions. So,
Coach, you mentioned. Yeah, it looked beautiful on TV. The weather looked beautiful, but you mentioned, the world class, the greatest tracksters in the country are all there. It's so funny. It's so interesting to watch them run. They're always in a bunch because they're all winners.
Yeah.
It's hard to get some space. These distance races are tough.
Yeah, people, they don't understand, when you see a 9.95 and then a 9.98.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just a blanket. It's a blink, it's just a. And I don't know if y'all noticed, but Alyssa, did not. She was 10th in the prelim, but it was 11.18 and then 175, and the other ones was 11.18, 174.
Oh my gosh!
1,000. I mean, that's not even, and they weren't in the same heat. So
2 questions.
We nearly got 2 in there.
Yeah, 2 questions, Wes. First of all, and I'm not going to try to say his name because I'll butcher it, but our 10,000 meter finishing with one shoe on, what an effort. What an effort.
Was that not incredible?
It was.
I mean, he got stepped on with 900 meters over a half a mile, and he couldn't run because they'd pulled his heel, pulling back under him, so he took about 3-4 more steps, and his shoe was going to come off, so he just kind of kicked it off. And he has to run the last 800 meters over a half a mile with no shoe. I mean, you all seen his foot. I mean, it's just as bloody as could be when he finished, but what an effort.
That's
for
good.
A freshman.
Yep.
For a freshman.
And he would have been better than 4th if he could have, had a shoe on. I think he would have been 2nd or 3rd. I don't know that he'd have won, but Ernest Chariot. He's going to be a great one. So,
and
really proud. We brought 3 freshmen here.
Yeah.
And Ernest got 4th,
Pole
and then
vaulter.
Sean Gribble in the pole vault did not score, but he was a walk-on kid that made the national meet in the pole vault.
How about that?
And it's just great for these. And Trey Wilson, remember that name, our shot putter. He just threw 61 yesterday, but he's going to be those freshmen are going to be special.
And the second part to my question is an explanation of why in the prelims so many schools are put together in the same heat. I don't understand that. Why don't they spread them out?
It's how it's at regional. However you finish at regional is how you are placed here. Yes.
I don't
that's
think.
what happened to Rose. She had the fastest 100-meter people
Yeah.
all in her heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And she won her heat at regionals, but there's 24 people, so there's only 3 heats, so you're going to have some good people in the same heat.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't understand how
But you earn the lane
how they seeded
when
it.
you get here.
Yep.
Coach, we're about to go here, but I can't even tell you how much we appreciate you always taking time. You're the best.
And proud of all you've done thus far and looking forward for the women.
Yeah, looking forward
Well,
to the day.
appreciate you guys. We're going to try to have a good day.
Go get them, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach Wes Kittley, outstanding Coach of the Year in many ways.
Yep.
Every year.
Yep.
You've been listening to the Sports Talk with Thetford and Ashby podcast from Double T 97.3. Catch the show live Saturday mornings from 9 to noon on Double T 97.3 FM or on the Double T 97.3 mobile app.